Good morning. This is a public hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on July 28th, 2021, in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Chapter 4, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 272. Hearings are broadcast live on Channel 18 and all. Could someone mute everyone except me for the moment? Thank you. Broadcast live on Channel 18 and recorded for the on-demand archives available on the town's website. Today's hearing is being conducted via remote video conference, originally pursuant to the governor's emergency COVID order, and now under an order allowing remote public meetings through April 1st, 2022. The agenda and copies of documents for review today are posted on the town's website. To all participants, please remain muted unless you are speaking. If you are attending via phone, mute via Control *6 and use *6 again to unmute. As we consider each matter, I'll normally ask for comments and questions from commissioners, then participants. If you are on the Teams platform, indicate that you wish to speak by using the raise hand feature. If you're attending by phone, please unmute with *6 and address the chair. If you're a participant on the Teams platform, please keep your camera turned off unless you are speaking. The commission will vote on each matter before it by roll call. So that we have a record of a quorum, I'll now ask each commissioner to indicate their presence. Bob Del Vecchio.
Present.
Janet Williams.
Present.
Tom Clark.
Present.
Joe Kitts.
Present.
Karen Latin.
Present.
Terry Sullivan.
Present.
Mary Sullivan.
Present.
There we are.
Sorry.
And I heard from Trina Francisconi that she will be considerably late today. So I assume, Trina, that you're not here. So everyone's here except Associate Member Francisconi. So I think we're going to have what in my tenure is potentially an historically short agenda. So I don't believe, Nikki, that we have any continuances.
No,
correct
not
me if
today.
I'm wrong. Okay. And with that, I think we can take the first agenda item.
All right, so first we have a request for determination of applicability for 1151 Old Queen Anne Road, Cleanfield Capital LLC, map 6H parcel 1A, replace an existing deck, construction of a new patio, removal of construction material, placement of a shed, and restoration of a driveway. So I will share my screen to show the proposed plan. Let me know if is that good?
Yeah, we can see it. So who is here representing on this?
David Clark here.
David Clark is here.
And I
So,
believe Mr.
First, David, can we just address the fact that zoning doesn't like the shed issue before we, decide if we even need to vote today or not?
Sure. Yeah. I agree with the zoning determination. So we're going to find another place to put the shed. Unfortunately, I think along the east side of the building, to try to meet the 25-foot setback puts the shed too close to the house. So I think we'll probably find a place for it that's outside of your jurisdiction. There's plenty of room, obviously, to the right of the driveway and to the west side of the house. It's going to require some excavation, but it'll be outside the 100-foot buffer from the isolated wetland.
Okay.
So we can probably. I know Mr. Nandi is listening in. If he has any comments on that, I haven't had a chance to review it with him, but be happy to talk about the rest of the project
Yeah,
If
I
we
guess it would seem that we could just talk about everything except the shed.
Yeah. So Mr. Nundy bought this property last year or earlier this year, last year. And the previous owner had started some renovation work. That's why I submitted the existing conditions plan that we had done for the previous owner. The previous owner removed the entire deck. It was in tough shape. And was planning on putting it back, but when he did remove the deck, he noticed that the T111 siding was in tough shape, and he was in the process of re-siding the house when he found another house in town and bought that and moved there. If you've been out to the site, you notice there is quite a large stockpile of these very large terracotta panels that the former owner was planning to use on siding as siding. So part of the project is to remove all that material. Mr. Nandi is not going to be using that material to side the house, so that'll be leaving the site. And a portion of the project is to restore the driveway to the way it was before all that material showed up. The other part of the project is to put the deck back, but in a different configuration, and also add a patio on the water-facing side of the house. If we do not include the shed, the net increase within your jurisdiction will be about 134 square feet from the existing conditions plan when the deck was there. All the work is I don't think it's any closer than 75 feet to the isolated wetland. There are mature landscape plantings between the activity and the resource area, and pretty much all the work is within the immediate disturbed area around the house. So we don't feel this will have any impact on the resource area.
Okay.
And that would be it.
That's all right. Let me just lead off with a couple of questions. And so as you said, the deck will not follow the footprint of the old deck.
No.
The old deck was there, as far as you know, 3 years ago, at least.
Yeah, I think looking at the Google Earth images, I think it was there in 2018 or 2017. I can't remember.
Right, three, maybe 4 years ago. All right.
Yeah.
And there is no existing shed. So the shed that you're with, well, I guess it's sort of irrelevant at this point.
It's a wood shed that's there now.
There is a wood shed. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is coming.
No, that is the existing wood
staying.
shed's going to shade.
Wood shed stays. Okay. It's not going to be altered.
No.
I do want to mention that there's been no previous conservation filings with this property. The health file does not show the deck, but I do think that because it was just the small isolated wetland on a different property, that they probably legitimately did not realize that they were in conservation jurisdiction because they are over 100 feet from the actual pond. So I just did want to mention that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the owner did remove the deck, which was probably not the best move. They should have kept it there and then could have replaced it in a different configuration much easier. But overall, I do recommend approval. I think that it was legitimately not known that there was an isolated wetland right there. And as David mentioned in his narrative, that he's been out there multiple times in 2011 and then this year, and there's never been any water in that isolated wetland.
Right. As you say, the wetland or tri-land, or whatever you want to call it, is not on the property. Is the property next door occupied?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I guess, this is one of those, yeah, I hear what you say, Nikki. I always have trouble with these RDAs, especially when it increases coverage. with no corresponding mitigation, but let me open it up to everyone at this point. We can, I'm looking for raised hands if anyone has questions. And we have a question from Janet.
Thank Bob. David, can you, how is the deck what is the support system going to consist of, and what kind of excavation is going to be required?
Just sonotubes, most likely. So 4-foot minimum excavation for frost protection. I don't know the diameter. It'll probably be between 8 and 12-inch diameter concrete footings. Given the size of it, I would anticipate probably maybe 10. They might require, given the span, they might require intermediate support, but certainly 4, either 3 or 4 on the outboard, the east side of it. So I'd say somewhere between 8 and 10.
Okay.
Shallow excavations for the sonotubes.
Okay, thank you. And I see that the patio is going to be dry laid. What is the material that is going to be used for that?
I don't think he's made a choice yet, but it will be some type of stone or masonry product that will be set in bluestone dust or something comparable.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
That's it. All right.
Excuse me, I'm a guest, Rebecca Morgan. I can't.
Are you in a butter?
Yes, I live
Okay.
next door. I have the house.
Okay.
Next.
Well, go ahead.
Okay, so we share that driveway, and honestly, I'm not sure where the demarcation is in terms of the property line, because our property used to own the property that is in question right now, and it was one piece, and so I don't know where the exact line is. I didn't get a chance to check it before this meeting, but so I just want to know whether it's known how much of the driveway is shared and how much of the driveway is going to be.
Solve this.
All right. We'll pause. Okay. Yeah. Everybody, we're going to have to stop for a moment until Channel 18 says we're back online.
Okay.
Okay, I do believe we are back online. Thank you so much.
Okay, that was mercifully brief. All right. So please continue.
Yes.
David, you were speaking.
I was responding to the abutter's question about the driveway. So
Yes.
no work is being done on the abutting property. We are intending to remove all the construction stockpile material and resurface that portion of the parking area and driveway that is on the Nandi property. So no work is being done on the main driveway.
Oh, I see. So it's just that flat part that goes up to the house, not
Yes.
the driveway proper from the street.
Correct.
I see. Okay. All right. So it has nothing to do with the shared part of the driveway.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So Bob, you have your hand up.
Yes, David, the granite curb that's made into a wall on the perimeter of the backyard, will that be removed?
I don't think so. It's kind of retaining the slope at the moment, but we are planning to put some steppers along the backside of the house. But I don't think there's any intention to remove any of that at this time.
Okay. All right. And yeah, Janet mentioned the material of the patio. And how big is that patio going to be again?
Bear with me a second here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got to call up the plan. The patio and the stepping stones within your jurisdiction is 492 square feet.
And that's all new. The patio isn't a replacement, it's new.
Correct. But the deck that we're proposing is smaller than the deck that was there. So, like I said at the beginning, if we don't count the new shed, we're about 134 square feet of increase within your jurisdiction.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess I don't see any other hands. Any other? I guess I'll just come back. I'll swing back. I guess this is one of those tough ones for me. Maybe not. It may not be tough for others, but we are increasing coverage. If David, you're assuming that we consider that to be a pre-existing deck. I think you could argue both ways. But anyway, we know that we can't vote on this today because of the zoning issue. So you had to submit something revised. We're increasing coverage. Is there any way that you could, for example, offer us something, shrubs, something that would compensate to some degree for the increased coverage?
We talked about that, but we feel that there's really no loss of wildlife habitat as a result of the project. It's the areas immediately adjacent to the house that are currently disturbed, even though the old deck is not there. It still remains disturbed. And the vast majority of the rest of the property is in undisturbed state. So we think this is just a minor increase in site coverage, but also more importantly, there's really no loss of wildlife habitat. No trees are coming out. No substantial vegetation is coming out.
Okay. I'm thinking of a recent RDA application that we actually turned down that's similar to this, where they were putting in a deck on sonotubes in a disturbed area, and we judged that would need to come back as an NOI. So I personally think of this as similar to that, unless someone else has
that was on a coastal bank.
It was
not in a isolated wetland, which is only under Chatham bylaw, I believe.
There's a difference in scale. I agree, but nevertheless, I have spoken in the past how I'm reluctant to judge values of wetlands relative to each other. Either it is or it isn't. So anyway, no further questions, I guess. Oh, Terry, you have a question. Muted.
Yeah, I have a question, but I guess, but I'll pass on the question. If we're going to move for a vote,
Okay.
let's go ahead. Thank
Bob,
you.
I have a question.
Oh, yes, Tom.
Well, I guess it's more of a comment. I noticed that David started out characterizing the wetland as an isolated land subject to flooding, but then kind of transmogrified it into a vegetated wetland. And I wasn't sure why he did that. The other thing that concerned me was that we've only, quote, sampled, unquote, the isolated wetland for whether or not it's wet twice in a decade. I don't think that's statistically meaningful, especially since we've been through drought and so on especially over the last 5 years. So that raises a concern for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I jump back and forth between isolated wetland and land subject to isolated land subject to flooding. Vegetated wetland is a local bylaw definition, and there is no vegetated wetland definition under the Wetlands Protection Act. So under the Wetlands Protection Act, it is isolated land subject to flooding. And under the local regulations, it is a vegetated wetland. Regarding the status of standing water in there, I just stated that the times I've been to the site, there was no standing water. Obviously, groundwater is very close to the surface. Otherwise, we wouldn't have wetland vegetation there. But there is a vernal pool on the other side of Old Queen Anne Road. You saw that at your last hearing. There's standing water in there at the moment. So I just leave it at that. It's the commission's decision on how to proceed.
So, yeah, without further, so we need to come back, Nikki, in your view, in other words, voting on this today would. No, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
I would say that we could come to an agreement on whether we are likely to approve or disapprove the project. And then when they get the new site plan and figure out the shed issue with zoning, we could do an official vote at the next available meeting once we get that plan.
Janet, does that? Oops, your hand is up.
Oh, yes. Okay, so without the shed, I mean, I understand, and I look at the 2011 site plan and compare it to this, and the new deck and patio are more or less in the same location as the prior deck, but they are enlarged. And so I understand David's point that this is a disturbed area. It's immediately adjacent to the house, and it's only in the outer aura to the vegetated wetland. However, that may be compelling in an NOI situation, but this is an RDA, and so we're called upon to say whether there's any impact to a resource area, and there's clearly 134 square feet of impact to the outer aura. That being the case, I would echo Bob's request that some sort of compensation be offered to compensate for that increase in coverage. And maybe it's a fine point, but as a matter of principle, when there's coverage increased in a resource area that we're charged with protecting, we should be asking for some kind of compensatory mitigation. So if there's going to be a delay, I'd be inclined to approve this, and in the hopes that the applicant would come back at the final vote with some kind of compensatory mitigation to compensate for that 134 square feet.
Thank you, Janet. We have a hand up from.
That's the homeowner.
Okay, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Debarshi Nandi, and as David said, I'm the current homeowner. In terms of compensation, do you mean addition of other vegetation around the property? Is that what it means?
Well, what we would normally look for in this case are additional native plantings that typically are adjacent to the resource area, such that it does the most good in terms of providing wildlife habitat and food.
So the the resource area, which is immediately in front of the proposed deck and patio. So that area is completely undisturbed. But if it would please the commission to, if it would make sense to add additional, native plantings in that area, that can be easily done. I don't mind doing that in terms of adding more to it. But it is, as David mentioned, it is already kind of completely, it is undisturbed, and it has the original vegetation that, prior to when I purchased it. So I'm happy to add there because that would be within the 100-foot buffer. And there are other areas outside the buffer also where, but I'm not sure if what the request is for the native.
Yeah, I think concentrating on the resource area is what we're looking for.
Yeah, I can, obviously we're good. You're not going to approve it today, and that's understandable. So we'll have time, I'll have time to discuss it with Mr. Nandi and be back to you with a plan that shows the shed in a different locate outside your jurisdiction and mitigation for the net increase in site coverage.
Appreciate it.
So I think we could have everything ready for your August 11 meeting.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. I don't think we need to necessarily take a straw vote or anything like that.
No, I think it's quite clear.
Yeah, I think it is, and it's just, to me, this is pushing the edge of what an RDA should be or should be used for. So yeah, it'd be very nice if you could compensate us for it. All right. So do we have a motion then to continue
to August 11th?
August 11th.
I make a motion to continue 1151 Old Queen Anne Road for request for determination of applicability to August 11th.
Clark, second.
All right. Roll call vote. Bob Delvecchio.
Aye.
Janet Williams.
Aye.
Tom Clark.
Aye.
Joe Kitts.
Aye.
Karen Latin.
Aye.
Terry Sullivan.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So
Thank
that's
you.
unanimous to continue. Thank you. All right.
Next up, we have 373 Bridge Street, Stephen and Helen Johnson, map 16B, parcel 25-22, SE 10-3242. This is for a plan change for hardscape modifications. Let me share. I don't know, Stephanie, if you have any, if you want to share, if you want to have certain plans you want up at any given time.
Good morning. I don't, Stephanie Sequin with Radler and Wilcox. I'm not able to share the documents.
Okay, I have it. It's fine. I'll just.
So I think if you just put up the conceptual landscape plan that's being proposed.
Is that the Hawk one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Can you see it?
And maybe if you can just zoom in on the
Yes.
The pool and the upper terrace. Perfect. Okay. Good morning, Stephanie Sequin with Radler and Wilcox, and I'm representing Stephen and Helen Johnson, who are the current owners of the property at 375 Bridge Street. I think someone from Hawk Design is out there also. This property has 2 dwellings, a detached garage, and an in-ground pool and hardscaping. The pool and hardscaping were constructed in accordance with an amended order of conditions in May, that was issued in May of 2019. And I submitted, along with this request, an as-built site plan of all the existing hardscaping that was constructed. Since then, since the Johnsons purchased this property, they've been working with Hawk Design, and they've come up with a plan for modification to the existing hardscaping. What's being proposed, there's a stone walkway that leads from the upper terrace next to the house, from the side of the terrace down to the pool apron at the lower level. They want to remove those stone steppers and replace it with a walkway that's located more in the center of the upper terrace and connecting down to the pool apron. Just the very end of that proposed stairway, as you're looking at the plan that's on the screen, on the right end of the stairs at the bottom, there's approximately 42 square feet of new hardscaping that lies within the 100-foot buffer. They're also proposing to, as I said, remove these existing stone walkway to the north. They will have to extend an existing retaining wall by a few square feet just to retain the earth in that location. And they are proposing to install spa equipment next to the existing pool equipment. That's that little square. And they are going to install some additional plantings to screen that new spa equipment. And then lastly, there is a pool fence that goes around this entire backyard, and they are going to remove that pool fence. The existing pool has an automatic cover, and when in Chatham, when you have an automatic cover on a swimming pool, you are not required to have pool fencing. The previous owner chose to have the pool fence, but now the Johnsons would prefer not to have it, so they would like to remove that existing pool fence. So just as a summary, as I said, within the 100-foot buffer, there is an increase of 42.5 square feet with the new combined between the new center stairway and the spa equipment, and that is offset by the elimination of 42.5 square feet of the existing stone walkway that's going to be removed. So no net increase within the 100-foot buffer, with the added benefit that the pool fence is being eliminated. So that's not sequestering the existing hardscaping as it currently is. I would be happy to answer any questions.
All right, I think I'm just going to open it up. And we have Bob.
I was wondering, Stephanie, if natives could be put in place once the stairway, the old stairway, is taken out, and the new plantings around the what is it, the new equipment going in? I think you're muted, Stephanie.
Oh, guys, sorry, I don't want to interrupt. This is John Petty from Hawk Design. If Stephanie is muted, I can answer that.
Yes, please do.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, we were thinking of so in the previous plan, it said non-native, non-invasive. We could either continue with that. I think right now there's some taxus around there, hydrangeas, but we're definitely, I know the client was open to, when we talked about, the submittal that, that we would be adding probably some more plants in that area, as well as potentially adding some plants down in the lower, there's like a lower lawn terrace that's like in the 50 to 100 feet, like at the lower pool, that has all natives. So there might be an option to add some plants down there as well as around the pool equipment.
Okay, so could we have a list of the plants, and hopefully mostly would be native?
Correct, yes. And I think what was on the previous submission plan in 2019 was viburnum, clethra, Virginia rose, and there was one other one. But yeah, we can get you a list.
Okay, that'd be wonderful, in place of some non-natives, that'd be great. But other than that, it seems like a swap, an even swap, so I'm for it, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? I don't see any hands. I will echo Bob's interest in having more natives. We always want more natives within the resource area, and I'm glad that you're willing to do it. And I guess the question is, do we need to see, if you're going to do that and you're going to submit revisions, do we need to see it before we would vote on the plan change? And as far as I'm concerned, tell me, Bob, what do you think about that?
I think as long as we had a list of what was going in, and maybe even a small plan or a sketch. I don't want to tie anything up, but just so we know that we have some guidance as to what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that you guys could probably get that to us pretty quick, just a list of the plants and, mark on the plan where they're going. And then I can email it out to everybody. And so that way you see it and we have it, and then I'll include it in the file, and then I can issue it's basically just a letter that says we accept your plan change. This is the new plan and the planting list that we are now approving.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely get something over to you guys here in the next day or so.
All right. I think then we are ready for a vote, a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve 373 Bridge Street request for a plan change.
Subject to additional planning materials that we receive.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Clark, second.
All right, roll call vote. Bob?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So that's unanimous approval. Appreciate it. And
Okay.
I guess we'll deal with it at the upcoming work session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now we have 5 COCs.
Sorry, I was muted. We have 46 Toby Turtle Road. Yeah, I threw a bunch of these on since we had such a short meeting. They were coming in pretty quick around the agenda deadline. So I figured take advantage of the lack of NOIs. So yes, 46 Toby Turtle Road, Robert Sanders, map 3B, parcel B30, SE 10-3264. This was basically a house that was being raised for a new foundation. Same footprint and everything. I went out there. It looks exactly the same. Everything's, vegetated as it was. So I recommend approval for that one. There was no land management plan or special conditions in the order. So it's in the same footprint. So that's basically all there is to look at for that one. I am mostly recommending approval, so we can do one big vote at the end. There's one weird one, 1549 Old Queen Anne, which I'm recommending a partial. So maybe we can save that one to the end, and I'll do all the recommend for approvals first.
Right, that makes sense.
Okay, so we'll skip the Old Queen Anne one for just a little bit. Next is 321 Ridgevale Road, Barry Finn, map 6C, parcel 32G4, SE 10-3047. That's construction of a new dwelling, shed, driveway, grading, and mitigation. The number, so there's, if you want, I can bring it up, but there's a small planting bed in the front. It's a curved driveway and there's a small planting bed in the front. So it has the correct number of plants, but they're a little sparse. I think once they have even more time to grow, they're doing fine. I think they just haven't grown enough to be big enough to show what the planting plan represents. But the amount of plants there does seem to match the planting plan. Otherwise, the vegetation looks good for the whole rest of the house. It's very well vegetated, so I recommend approval for that. 34 Nickerson Lane, James Sears, map 7B, parcel S18, SE 10-3260, invasive removal and native plantings. I was out there back in June and it looked fine, so I recommend approval for that one. 290 Old Comers Road, Earl Kendrick, map 9I, parcel W8, SE 10-1899. That was for a dwelling. This one's a little weird. So there was a mix-up when the order of conditions was recorded. So the certificate number, he owned all of these plots and then started subdividing them. And so when it got recorded, it was one number off. It was the next door neighbor. So Earl owns like 303 something Old Comers, the next property over, 306, I think it was. And the certificate number for the dwelling at 290 was accidentally recorded under 306. So he's trying to sell his house and it came up that he has this order of conditions for the property next door. So that was a very confusing process. It took Crystal and I a little while, and the realtor and David Clark and Earl to figure out what was going on. So I did go out to the property. Most of it is well over 100 feet from the pond. There's a tiny corner of the house that's about 10 feet from the inland bank. So there's no requirement for an as-built. David Clark doesn't have the contact information for the homeowners that own 290 in the first place, so he can't really do much more than apply for it, and I will, mail it to their official assessing address that they have an order of or they have the certificate of compliance. So that shouldn't be an issue. But like I said, it's well vegetated. There's no requirement for an as-built or any of that kind of stuff. From GIS, the proposed plan matches the GIS. So I recommend approval for that one.
All right.
So yeah, if you have any questions on any of those, just let me know and then we can vote on those and then we'll go back to the 1549 Old Queen Anne.
Okay. I do see what you mean when you, on 321 Ridgevale, the sparseness of the planting in that, what is that vegetation that's on the, on the ground? Is that was that planted there, or was that just something that showed up?
Let me pull it up. I mean, the shrubs that are there were definitely planted and they're natives. I went out there, but
the original plan didn't call for a ground cover or anything like that otherwise.
It wasn't all that specific. It basically showed, I think, 10 shrubs and then, some grasses and stuff in the front part here.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the amount of shrubs, but it's this part that was a little sparse.
Yeah, sure is. Well, I guess if it didn't say anything contrary to what you're seeing, I guess that's all we can do.
Yeah, I mean, it was a drawing that shows, a lot of vegetation, but the actual plants called out were about 10 shrubs and, these are still growing, obviously, and will lush out. The grass will hopefully spread. So I don't really see a reason to deny it, especially since this part and everything is so well vegetated.
Right.
in this
Janet,
area.
Janet has a question.
Yeah, I'm looking at the plan that was submitted for this, and it's not showing me the driveway or the resource area line. So is it possible that that part where the driveway exits out onto Ridgevale Road, that does seem to be sparse, is that outside of jurisdiction? Is that why maybe there wasn't a requirement?
It's not out of jurisdiction, but I think it was probably considered, oh, it's in the middle of a driveway and a roadway.
Yeah.
So how beneficial is it anyway?
3047, that's just, yeah, that's just outside of my memory before me, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, the wetlands like right in here, so it's across the banks right across the roadway.
Okay.
So
Oh, it's on the other, oh, there it is. I'm sorry, if I scrolled up a little further, I would have seen it. It's right, the coastal bank is there. Okay.
So
Okay.
I think it's kind of a thing where this is just, the planting doesn't mean all that much in this area, being that it's surrounded by the driveway and the roadway.
No, at certificate of compliance time, all we can do is determine that it was in compliance with what was required, not what we would have liked to have been required.
Right.
We can't go back. Okay.
Yeah, and this is an older one, so it's.
Yeah. Not as old as Nickerson Lane,
So-
but seen as old comers, but yeah.
So how should we handle the motion here? Would you like to?
So I guess it would just be whoever does the motion would say, I recommend approval for the 4 addresses, and then after
Sure.
that, it would be just normal.
Can you, is that okay, Bob?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the following certificates of compliance: 46 Toby Turtle Road, 321 Ridgevale Road, 34 Nickerson Lane, and 290 Old Comers Road.
Clark, second.
And so for a roll call, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. So that's unanimous.
And you want to go on to 1549 Old Queen Anne Road for a partial?
Yes, so I will share the approved plan and the as-built so that you can see the difference. So this is the approved plan that shows the patio. And then this is the as-built that shows an increase in the patio. So basically the first one was it was basically supposed to come off of the edge of the house and just go about straight down. So this one has this extra area. I went out and I met with the homeowners. I was out there for about 30, 45 minutes discussing it with them. Well, so first off, the house is fine. Everything else is fine. The mitigation area has been planted. It's a very wooded area. So some of the plantings aren't like thriving, but they're all alive and they're all there. They've been in for several years. So, and because it is such a wooded lot, I'm okay with the mitigation in this area. But because of the increase in the patio, I suggested there's a lot of bare, like pine needle area right over here, which is very sunny and would be great for some planting. So I just said to offset this extra patio area, plant here. So once those plantings are in and I go out there and check on them, I would recommend the full COC. But until then, until I see that those plantings are in, I'm just recommending a partial because, like I said, the house and the mitigation is, it's fine. That's all in compliance. It's just that little extra patio spot.
So how much extra patio spot?
It's not a lot. It's probably maybe 100 square feet, if even. Probably less. I'd have to scale it out.
Is it a pervious?
It's, yes, well, it's like it's a dry lay. I mean, there's grass like in the middle of each of the stones.
Right, it's dry laid
Yeah.
basically, but it was not on the plan, so it was.
Yeah, so it just went yeah, it's just like the step was on the plan. The steps were on the plan, so it's just this like chunk right here. And they said they did it for retaining purposes. If it was where like all their straw wattles were, and they said that if they removed the straw wattles and didn't put a little bit of an extra wall for the patio, then it would have been too big of a slope down. And I mean, that's what they say, but.
Okay, so it's basically an unapproved. It was an unapproved construction. So if they were to do the plannings that you're suggesting, then we would, and if we approve the COC, we'd basically be approving the unauthorized work.
Yep. That's built.
Yeah.
Bob, I have a question.
Certainly.
I noticed the address on the as-built plan that was provided as part of this is different from the address that's on our agenda. The agenda says 1549 Old Queen Anne, and the as-built that was provided, I don't know if by accident, but the as-built that was provided says 1495.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I wasn't sure if, and I think Crystal would agree with me, we weren't sure if we were going dyslexic or what was happening, like because it's all the same numbers, but in different orders. So at some point, the address changed. So it was 1459, I believe, but then it got subdivided or something like that, and it changed to 1549. So 1549 is the correct address that the property currently has.
Yeah. So with the as-built, then would we need to have a note on there saying that that's actually 1549?
I'm not really sure because it was originally filed under 1459, I think. Let me pull the file.
Or as 1495?
It was filed under both in our filing system. It took forever for us to find the file. It was one of those. Yeah, so the request for certificate of compliance says 1495 Old Queen Anne, formerly parcel 3, currently 1549. It was 3 parcels. It's the McCoy Tree Farm people. And they split the property into 3 parcels. So that's where the confusion came.
Right.
So I think they filed for the house when it didn't have an actual address. And so it was probably filed under the proper. It's kind of like the Old Comers one, or Old Comers, where it was applied for as a parcel, and then it got an address after the house was built, after we approved it.
Okay, well, as long as your filing system can keep up with it. Janet has her hand up.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. So I take it, Nikki, that you had a conversation, and and more importantly, are the homeowners clear on what you're asking in terms of where some plantings need to go?
Yes, so I received an email either last night or this morning. Let me pull it up. And so I asked them to email me, so I had their email because I only had my card on the site visit. And she asked to please share what native plants or grasses we can plant and what square footage is needed and where we should put them. So she has confirmed with an email that she understands that she does have to do native plantings, and she's asking where I exactly want them and the square footage that I would require.
And are you able then to give her that information based
Yes.
on scaling out the as-built to figure out roughly, I think you're probably close to it when you say about 100 square feet, you know, just eyeballing it, that looks about right, but you'll be able to give her that guidance so that when she
Yes.
comes back for the full certificate, great. And the easy way that I know of to deal with these kinds of address changes, so that they don't get misfiled, is to mark the plan 1459 and then parentheses AKA 1549 Old Queen Anne Road, and then just put a note in one or the other that the file's in the other ad, so that people go looking for it. They see that there's two numbers. So an AKA is just an easy way of capturing that.
Yeah, I mean, David Little can easily throw that
Yep.
on in a
Yep.
minute, send it
Yep.
over, so.
Yep.
And if this was a lot that was straight lawn to the, water, I might, be a little more hesitant, but this is a very treed lot. They have one little path down to the water. It's obvious that they're going to try and care for their plants and that they're not removing trees, and it's a very naturalized lot. So that's why I feel comfortable giving them a partial until I see that the other plantings are in.
Good.
All right. I'm actually going to, I can actually see this property from my backyard. I live on the same pond, and since it's not a straightforward situation, I'm going to recuse myself at this point on it. It probably isn't necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. So anyway, so we're voting then on a partial.
Yes, a partial, and then
Okay.
we'll come back at a future date
back.
for
Right.
the rest.
Okay.
Of the full.
All right, Bob, do we have a motion for a partial approval?
I'd like to make a motion to partially approve certificate of compliance for 1549 Old Queen Anne Road.
Also known as.
Also known as 1495 Old Queen Anne Road.
Keeping us honest, Tom. All right. All right, let's have a vote then. Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
and I'm going to abstain as I previously indicated. So anyway, it carries.
After that, we just have the minutes for June 23rd and July 7th. Delvecchio sent me a couple corrections, so I reloaded those minutes into the Dropbox a couple days ago. So if anyone else has corrections, I guess.
So I guess let's deal, the June 23rd minutes. If anyone has anything there. I do have one. It's kind of snarky. I don't know if I should even say it.
I'm kind of snarky, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. You can feel free to reject it. This is on 0 Northgate Road, as you might expect. And Bob Rawls, yes, where it says Bob Rawls is still opposed, blah, blah, blah. Since the resource area is being disturbed, I was going to say, and that 12 mature trees are being removed in exchange for 12 shrubs, which I'm still a little tense about. Anyway, I'm just offering that up. You can put it in if you like, or if you don't. If you think it's too snarky, leave it out.
No,
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah,
Point
if you could just send your wording.
So,
It'll help me sleep a little better at night.
there you go.
Yeah, if you could just send your wording to Crystal and she can
I'll do it.
copy and paste it right in.
I also had a couple of changes, Nikki, and I just pulled up my document from my file, looking for my markup, and it's not there. And then I realized that I tracked changes and marked up the one in your file. So you already have my changes.
Oh, okay.
I believe. So I'll just let everybody know what I was saying. One was in the Stage Harbor, 125 Stage Harbor Road. The second paragraph, when the contractor asked to have the water service reconnected, water department suggested replacing. And then underground utilities were being installed, but the applicant's representative stated that the water line cannot be placed in the same trench where the electrical lines are, because that's exactly what he said. And I just wanted to make sure we were clear that that's the minutes reflect that that's what David Clark said. There's not necessarily universal agreement about that statement, so I wanted to make it clear that that's what we were told, and we're going with that.
I appreciate any changes to that address that you, because I am still answering emails about that one.
Oh my God, of course you are. On 1711 Old Queen Anne Road, the first paragraph after the last meeting, David Clark recalled the name of the aluminum product that will allow sunlight through at only 3% less than the through flow, and then the plan was changed. He recalled it. He could not recall it at the original hearing, but he said, "I found the name. Here it is," and he changed the plan. Just wanted to reflect that. And then the last one is in the 54 and 0 Crows Pond Road. This is about the Phragmites, so it's in 1, 2, 3. The fourth paragraph down near the boathouse is overgrown by Phragmites. Commission would like to have this. I would love to have, but never mind, included. However, at this time, the property owners would like to proceed without it and include the removal in a later plan. So just to clarify that they said they would like to do it later, just it's not going to be included at this point. And that's all I had.
Okay. I don't see any other. Feel free to speak up, anyone. So if there are no furthers on that one, then we could take the next one. And prove them both, I think, at once.
Well, I'll kick off because I did the same thing on this one, Nikki. So the one that's filed in the council, it has my marks on it. I did change the name of the chair on the first sentence because, by gosh, that's Bob's throne now. And to make that clear, and don't think I had any substantive changes. Oh, on 14 Periwinkle Lane. Harbor Master took over investigation and fine. Shellfish Department is satisfied. I just wanted to close it out by adding the sentence, there is no action needed from the Conservation Commission at this time. So that closes that loop on that matter. That's all I had there.
Anybody else? Didn't sound like it, so I guess we are in position then, Bob, to approve these 2 minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for June 23rd, 2021, and also July 7th, 2021.
Clark, second.
Roll call, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
All right, so the only other thing I have is when do we want to start trying the 1 p.m. time for our hearing meetings? Not the work session will stay at 3, but the other 2 hearings.
What do we have
So,
to do to put that into effect? Yeah.
but just to be clear, we're moving all the hearing times to 1.
So yeah, it would be 1 p.m. to, so for example, let's say we start August 25th, it would be, yeah, we can't do August 11th because abutter notifications have already gone out. So the earliest we could do is August 25th, and it would start at 1 p.m. And that one can go as late as we want it to. It's the September 8th. It's the first hearing. So the second Wednesday of the month is the one that has to end by 4:30 because the airport commission starts at 5. So channel 18 needs us to be done in time to start recording theirs. I
And
think
there,
it's possible most of the time. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna run into a couple ones that get close, but I think if I can keep COCs off of it, I can keep administrative items off of that agenda, that kind of thing, so that we can cut down time on that. I think it's worth trying, at least for a couple of meetings, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we move to 12:30 or noon or whatever. But I mean, I think I more or less have to say that we have to move it to keep overtime for the Channel 18 employees down.
right. I understand the goal, and this is the best available solution. I do think that on those once a month hearings, we're going to have to be limiting discussion and presentations to, let us say, no more than 30 minutes on anything.
Mhm.
So that'll help us time it out. But when looking in the handbook for town meetings, I am able to say that we do have time constraints on those particular hearings, and we can simply give everyone fair warning that we do have a hard deadline, and we will have to cut off in some cases if it goes too long, debate and continue them just because of that.
Bob, may I offer a suggestion?
Certainly.
That fact be noted on the agenda so that everybody has
It's a
notice.
good idea. Good idea. And really, we've talked before about limiting discussions for a particular application at 30 minutes, just as a general case. And of course, we've had them go much longer than that. So I think we have justification, at least on those hearings, to do that. It's a good
And
thing.
then the work session and the other meeting will, we have no time constraints on that one. The airport commission only meets once a month, so.
Right. And we really do, and it's a hard, we do need 30 minutes and no fewer than 30 minutes in between ours and them. Okay. I mean, we can't go over a minute.
I mean, we can definitely a lot of boards used to do this. They used to say this meeting or this hearing starts at 4. This one starts at 4:15. This one starts at 4:30. And on the agenda, they used to put that on a lot of different boards in different towns.
Yeah.
People have gotten rid of it over the time because they don't want to cut people off and they want to give everyone the chance to speak and not have litigation and all that kind of stuff. So, but we can, do an approximate, this is the time you get from 4 to 4:30 or whatever,
Yeah. I still think it's probably simpler just to say, as a general rule on those days, we will continue after 30 minutes, and that will then hopefully motivate them to be brief and motivate us to be brief as well. And then on the agenda, you could say today will be from 1 to 4:30, have an end time on it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll try and see if we need to adjust, but.
Yeah, it should work until it doesn't.
You can try.
We can try.
And if it works, we can apply that to all of our hearings.
That's exactly right.
I mean,
maybe everybody will love it. You don't have to speak past half an hour.
Another note, we only had one NOI and one RDA submitted for our next August 11th meeting. So
what's happening?
What's happening is a slowdown in development.
We have continuances to August 11th, but not that many, I don't think. And I think they were mostly for like plan changes and, just modifying basically projects that are approved but needed some modifications. So I think August 11th should be pretty good. August 4th, I can't remember exactly how many, but we do have quite a few orders to issue on that one. But
five. I'm looking at the spreadsheet. 5.
Yeah, the prices of construction too, and the shortage of help.
Yeah, and a shortage of supplies. People don't get.
I have half my house is unsighted because we can't get the siding to redo it. My husband's a builder.
Oh wow.
Okay, well that says all.
Takes a bundle here and there from jobs that don't need them, and it's like that's all we can get.
Wow.
Okay. Well,
crazy.
Their loss, our gain, I guess, at least for now.
Yeah, well, it'll all come back.
It all evens out eventually.
Right. But it's nice in the summer, in the dog days of August, to have a little slowdown is okay.
It is nice. Yep. Yep. Okay. Anything else we need to talk about, Nikki?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. No other unforeseen administrative items. Okay. So do we have a one last motion?
But we will start the 1 p.m. hearings on August 25th, correct?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I guess we didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Let's see if everyone agrees. Commissioner Del Vecchio,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Kitts,
Aye.
Commissioner Latin,
Aye.
Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. So an hour and 11 minutes.
Record time.
Absolutely a record time.
Yay.
All right.
Take care now.
Everyone
Bye.
enjoy the summer.
Bye, guys.